Smart 24, driving business.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Fiona Wall from the Fidelis Leadership Institute, hosting the Fat Talks again. We are in a beautiful resort here, and we are enjoying a surprise guest. I think many of you are very curious to know who I have in the room. We shared a photo on our social media, and I think you saw some extremely important people that you've never seen in Uganda or you've never thought about. And the Fat Talks today, yes, we are still at Smart 24 TV, and we thank them for hosting us, except that we've changed scenery since we're talking about filmmaking and motion pictures and how we can use them to impact society. And today in the house, we have a very special guest, and he is a filmmaker. He is a communicator through pictures. He is also a consummate businessman. He owns about 4 or 5 businesses. He has lived on 2 continents, and he's rather young for somebody with that kind of experience. But I'm very, very honored to introduce Mr. Joseph Mwanguzi Kintu, or as he's better known, I think you'll introduce your other important names. Sure. He is also known as Joseph Michael Kintu. He is he's a businessman. He's a member of BNI that you know of. He owns 3 companies here in Uganda. He works in Hollywood. He has worked with superstars, and he is here to tell us all about how to use filmmaking to impact society. So, Joseph, the Fat talks about making sure that we encourage our people out there by bringing leaders who know their calling, have been faithful to it, are available to those that need their services, and also teachable, hence the Fat. And we've been at the East African Business Council meeting, and it was exciting. And Joseph was one of the delegates, and he has a very beautiful story. Joseph, you're very welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you very, very much. I'm so happy and blessed to be here. So happy to meet you, and I'm excited to have a great discussion. I know movie production is important.
Yes.
And anything that we can do to bring it more to fruition, especially in areas of the world that don't have it, we need to shine a bigger light on movies, for sure.
Okay. So, Joseph, tell me about yourself. So, ladies and gentlemen, the photo that was trending on our socials today had 3 important men, one of which has been named the most handsome man in the world. I don't know how many times.
I don't know if that was me.
I don't know. So please tell us about this photograph, Joseph.
You know, that is the most interesting experience I've ever had in my life. For the longest time, I always wanted Denzel Washington to play as the lead role in one of my movies. And for just as long of a time, I always got from people who were in his outer circle, it's impossible. You can't get to him. So once you tell me something is impossible,
you try to get to
I'm
it.
like, you just watch and see.
Yes.
So I went from family members to friends to going out to LA and trying to hunt him down, trying to find his wife, trying to find his kids. You
were a stalker.
I was stalking Denzel Washington for about 4 years.
Though, right?
Yeah. And one day I got a phone call from his agent, and he said, you know what, you're doing this the wrong way, but we like how tenacious you are.
You're kidding me.
Yeah, so that same year, it was April 2019, right before COVID, and I was lucky that it happened before COVID, because anytime after COVID would have been tough. But anyways, I ended up getting a phone call from one of his close friends in management, and I was flown out to New Jersey.
You were flown out to meet him?
Yes, to go meet him and to sit next to him as he was receiving the award for excellence in art, and it was almost like a lifetime achievement award for the theater that kind of harned and grew young artists in theater.
Yes.
It was the Crossroads Theater in New Brunswick, New Jersey, and he accepted the award because that was one of the theaters that he came up in when he was young, learning how to act.
Yes.
And yeah, it was a really interesting night. I sat down with him. I got a chance to talk to him, and I said, I would like you to play in my movie. He said, okay, yeah, let's make it happen. And ever since then, I met the other young man in the picture is Courtney Vance.
Yes, we all know Courtney Vance.
Courtney B. Vance, yeah,
yes.
awesome. Not only a prayer partner, but also a mentor. And he became my entertainment industry direct connect to everyone. And so,
I know.
Yeah,
there's nobody he doesn't know.
Right.
I think Denzel would look at him as a mentor as well.
Yeah, and Denzel and Courtney have a long history in Hollywood, even back from I think the Preacher's Wife. I think that was one of the first. I don't know how, if they had any movies. I'm not 100% sure how many movies they acted in together, but I know that there was The Preacher's Wife.
Yes, with Whitney.
Yeah, Whitney Houston. Yeah. So,
oh wow,
it was just an interesting experience, and that photo was the greatest night of my life.
Well, I think it's. I think my Twitter space is enjoying that photo as well.
Awesome.
So, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Mwanguzi, what's the other an American name?
Okay, so my American name is Joseph Michael Chopin.
Yes,
yeah.
Chopin. And how long were you always there? Were you here?
No, well, okay, so everything has a story with me. So, in 2014, I met Charles Peter Meyer.
So wait, you were born in the United States?
I was born in the United States, yes.
Oh, okay.
Born in the United States.
First generation or second?
Like a third generation.
Oh,
I have
okay.
my family tree extends all over the world. So not only do I have Nigerian in my family, I'm from Sierra Leone. I have mixed.
So where is that gorgeous hair from?
I don't. It could be the white people inside of me.
I think it's Ugandan.
Okay,
no, it's Ugandan.
I don't know if it's
It looks like mine.
I'm kidding.
Okay,
No. It's definitely Ugandan. Yeah. Uganda is my home. I've never felt more at home than in Uganda. So I met Charles Peter Maiga in Chicago, and he was telling me, you need to reclaim the glory of the kingdom, reclaim the glory of the kingdom. And I was so young. I didn't understand quite what he was saying, but when I actually got a chance to come to Uganda and see the kingdom directly, see what he was talking about, this is home. Not only home for me, but Black people all over the world. I believe that this was it's the cradle of civilization.
It is.
It is where
it is, isn't it?
Even more than that.
Yes.
There's history here that makes you feel lucky. Almost to
privileged.
Yeah, that's a good word too. Yeah.
And I'm glad you're talking to my people in the Pearl of Africa. They need to know and remember how privileged they are.
Yeah.
So, you had never been to Uganda before 2014?
No, I came to Uganda for the first time in 2014, and then I came back in 2021, and then I decided to stay. It was 2023.
Oh, you're staying.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm going to, I think, open up a page for those that want to shake the hand of the man that sat and ate and dined with Denzel Washington. So coming to film, today we're speaking about motion pictures and how we can use them to influence society. What does film mean to you, and how did it start for you?
Movies are magic to me. It's like, how do you get the people behind the screen? That's how when I was just a kid, a young child, that's what I thought when I looked at the TV. Michael Jackson was a huge influence on me because he was really big in America at that time, when in the mid 90s, and young children, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years old. That's what
everyone
that was in our home.
That was
in
the
our
moonwalk.
Michael Jordan. That's what we saw on the TV. Jam, Space Jam, those were like the
Flash Gordon.
yeah, those were our heroes, almost looking up at the popular stuff that we saw. So those were the types of films that inspired me to want to become a movie producer. But there's something special about film in how it ignites the imagination. If young people know how to look at a movie and then understand that, okay, this is what it is that they're encouraged and inspired by that, what they're seeing, because it's almost unreal. Especially when you're young and you're just seeing it for the first time. It's like, whoa. And movies have only gotten more enhanced. So
Should I say more ridiculous?
Yes. An explosion looks like more like an explosion.
Yeah.
And when you're I've seen the screen, I'm sure was as intense for me in 1996.
Now it's much more so. Gen Z young people are always saying, "Oh, you're triggering me," and I keep telling them this is just language you're picking up, from the movies and things like that.
Yeah.
Everybody thinks they're bipolar because they've watched a movie or something that justifies that.
Yeah, movies can make or break your imagination.
Yes.
And then also for young people,
that's very key.
Yes, they can incite you and ignite you to choose a pathway of work.
Yes.
And that is as literal as it gets. If you're watching a movie, you can decide where you want to be in life just from one film.
I watched The Hunger Games, the first one.
Yeah.
Shortly after that, we started having these parts of revolutions across Africa, across the world, led by young people in the streets.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't be surprised if they were influenced by a movie like that.
I'm sure. Think about RoboCop. A movie like RoboCop. Now we're seeing
made heroes out of everybody.
Yeah, it's like movies are a gateway to the future, almost in a way. So, if in our society, especially Black society, representation on films is so ridiculously low.
It is, isn't it?
And what's so terrible about it is that we're having even our own representatives who are supposed to be representing us doing it purposely wrong.
Yes.
So we have to have a system in place, in my opinion, for movies, even here in Uganda, to shed light on stories that are heroic.
And the right stories.
Yes.
Because I think for a long time somebody said that until I don't know what it I think until something learns to write, until the lion learns to write, the hunter will always be the hero.
Yes, exactly. We have to.
So when you look at that, we've let so many people write stories on our behalf as Africans for a long time.
Yeah.
And I'm counting you guys in as well. Because you are Africans, and we cannot blame anybody else for changing any stories or for distorting any truth, because truth also depends on perspective.
Yes.
People see it. I've seen 5 versions of the Shaka Zulu story. It's ridiculous what you see from different perspectives.
Yeah.
So we've not told the African perspective, and the Fat Talks, our emblem is a fireplace, because we want to tell these stories. But we're also trying to do it in a modern way, using film, and Smart 24 TV has come forth for that. So I understand what you say when you talk about the impact of film. How did it impact you as a child? You've talked about your love for the movies and what it influenced you and your desire to tell the right stories. But growing up where you grew up, how did that influence you? What made you think you could do it? Because a lot of young people would love to do so many things. But how do you translate that dream into reality?
When it's okay, so you have to. I had a very important decision to make, whether I was going to work for someone else or work for myself.
Yes.
And
when were you making this decision?
When I was 17.
Wow.
17, because I had my first job when I was 14. and I can't remember where I was working for like a child daycare or something like that, doing cleaning or maintenance or something like that. But as I grew, I realized, okay, I know I want to do what I want to do, but I don't have the resources to do what I want to do, and I know I don't want to work for this person, and so, but I still had to work.
Yes.
And when I got to the point where I said, okay, I have a car, I have a little bit of money, a few $1,000s, and I have some world experience because I can speak. I said, I never want to work for anybody again in my life. And that is where young people have to make a very difficult decision.
Yes.
Because when they get, even, it doesn't matter if it's you go into the movie industry or you go into the medical field. If you decide that you want to run your own practice and you're a doctor, or you want to be a doctor at somebody else's practice, that is going to determine your rest of your life. In the movie industry too, it's like, I knew that I wanted to run my own company because I got fired from somebody else's company and I felt like they were discriminating
against you.
So I said, well, I don't have to work.
So you were already in a film company?
No, I was working at I was just getting out of high school working at a department store.
Yeah.
And so I knew that I wanted to do something better than what it is that I was doing.
And you were still fired?
I was 17, 18 years old. I was just graduating high school. And I said, I have to do something. So by the time I was in between 19 and 20, and I'm using age, I hate using the age thing, but I'm just giving a reference for the young people so that anybody out there knows that, hey, this is around the time you start making these decisions. Between 19 and 20, I'm saying, okay, let me start up the company. Let me force myself to do the documents. I had very much family support.
So you did the documentation and everything?
I had a lot of family support too. So
that's very important.
It's very important.
Chasing your dreams, recruit the family.
You know what? Yes, and that is how most empires are built, from small units, family units.
Most empires are built when you recruit family.
When you recruit family members and you rely on, and when family members are gentle with you. Today, young people want to do something great, but you might have a family member who doesn't believe. And then they'll unfortunately say, you have to pay some rent this month, and then you're working for someone else, paying rent to your family and trying to focus on your dream at the same time.
In Africa, they believe in tough love, so sometimes they'll pull stunts like that, which will make it very hard.
But they do
it
all over the world. It's not just here in Africa. It's in America. It's in anywhere where. Because not only what I'm seeing is when young people want to have big dreams, it's right when they're getting into their late teens and early 20s.
But then it's really late.
And they need help, right? So.
And by then, I think your parents are counting all the money they spent on you, and they're thinking
that you owe.
You still want something, you know? Yeah. Okay. So you started this company?
Yes.
And what was it doing?
Well, originally we started off as just a small, it's a small family-owned company. It targets motion picture development for movie scripts, documentaries, and consulting on major motion pictures. So let's say, for instance, you want to produce a movie. There's so many people that want to produce movies. You couldn't imagine how many people say, I got a movie script.
And you live in the center there.
Right. Yeah. And I live right there where I can just say, sure, let me take a look at it. This is how much we charge. This is what it is that we'll do. And we make...
So you make it better. You make it sellable.
Yeah. If you have a book, we turn it into a script. If you have an idea, we turn it into a movie script. If you want to take it a step further and shoot a concept for it, we get a team around it. And I put you with the right people so that you can pitch to Hollywood and pitch to one of the big development. Yeah, like if you want to pitch to Warner Brothers or Universal.
So I'm going to make movies with you.
We know what they want to see.
I have a lot of fantastic ideas. That have never really, because I think what I love about movies and motion pictures is that you get to dream. Yeah. And you get to sort of enact your dream. Yes. And the beauty also about whoever is watching it is they don't know sometimes that there's a green screen behind you, that you're not actually hanging from, when you watch Superman, we don't know what goes on there.
All green screen.
It makes every child think they can fly. Yes. And that's an amazing feeling for a child to have. And I think we need more of those good pictures to give us hope,
Yeah.
to also remind us that we can solve our own problems.
And I'm glad you said that, because I mentioned Superman earlier today. Yes, we need more of those pictures, but, and I'm going to just try to be as respectful as I
No,
possibly
it's
can.
fine, please.
Black children
Yeah.
cannot see a white man flying and believe, oh, I can fly.
Yes.
It creates mental illness eventually.
Or a white Jesus.
Or a white Jesus,
I don't
or
know.
white anything,
Yes.
you know, especially white Jesus,
Yeah.
especially white. Any concept of white has to be, because what it's associated with and the history that it's associated with. Eventually, and I was told, I remember in the U.S. I had a talk at a college. I'll say it again now. When Black Americans get to about 13, 14 years old, they have a mental breakdown, because they never know. They're called Black American, they're called African American their whole life, and they're checking off a box up until the time that they start to be able to really read well and comprehend.
Know how they came.
And know how they came. And then and you, as a young Black woman, a young Black man who doesn't have a concept of Africa, but is always called African American, it creates total mental. If you're not strong and you don't have a good family upbringing, you can.
It's an identity crisis.
Identity crisis and mental health issues.
Wow,
Yeah.
I can understand that, but I love what's happening with Hollywood. I mean, they were, when they started animating the Avengers and then Spider-Man. You've seen what has happened with Spider-Man. My children love Spider-Man.
Yeah.
But when they animated it and they started with this, you know, the black boy, then the whole multiverse, you know, that has changed. And I was looking at the Rotten Tomato ratings and the, it's amazing that the sales for this has gone through the roof. I don't think they're ever going to not be inclusive or diverse in because I'm even seeing more animations coming out of Hollywood, and they all have this diversity. There's a Hispanic woman, there's the grandmother who's Black, so I love what's happening, because the market is beginning to tell. And someone was telling me that, you know, if it was to build a business case, one of the biggest things they needed to build as a business case is that the market, for a long time, the heroes and everybody, you know, had a certain color, but that color is not the majority in the world. Do you understand? So Spider-Man suddenly is hitting through the roof because Black children identify, Hispanic children identify, Chinese children identify. I don't know, and it's really, really amazing what an impact that is having on, for instance, the film market.
Definitely.
So for me, that sells hope.
It is. It you know, Hollywood has learned at least a little bit that they can't sell, you know, the same old movies to everyone.
We have to move on.
You have to move on. So there's been a huge impact on diversity.
But again, it was caused by a story, by someone doing something right. I mean, when you look at Triple X, when you look at some of these movies that have come to encapsulate a very, should I say, diverse hero. That creates some sort of unity, and I think it even takes away these biases that we have. It does.
The only thing I challenge when it comes to movie production, especially coming out of Hollywood, is there's small, intricate moments in movies where the word is subtleties. Where there are moments in the movies where the characters who are supposed to be heroes seem like they're not heroes. We have probably the greatest...
Like they have to be rebels or prison.
I mean, even in the Spider-Man, the Spider-Man franchise with the new Black cartoon, you know, his love interest is they didn't just put one Spider-Man like in the other Spider-Man, there's about 8 of them. You know?
There's like 8 of them.
And so they can't just be one Black Spider-Man. There has to be 8 that are all different, and his love interest is a young white girl.
Yeah.
So even though we see the diversity, it is diversity, but what we need is inclusive, direct, targeted, market black stories where we see a black hero saving black children. Case in point, I know you mentioned Triple X, but there's a movie, I know some of the producers on it, it's called Extraction.
I've watched Extraction.
Okay. Extraction 2 just came out. It was great.
Two, I haven't watched it.
Okay, two is fantastic. I love number 1, but 2 is really great.
Yeah.
I like it because it's a lot of action. However, I was very much looking at it, analyzing it. And for young people, when they look at a movie, they look at whoever's saving someone is saving them. They put themselves in that situation. If they're 11 years old and there's an 11-year-old in the movie, they're the 11-year-old.
They identify.
The 25-year-old,
Yeah.
they're the 25-year-old. So in Extraction 2, what we effectively saw was a white man, in general, I think it's Chris Hemmingsway or Chris Hemmingsworth, he went on a rampage until death. He was shot. He was stabbed.
I saw it.
He went to death.
Oh yeah, I've remembered. Then he came back.
Came
he
back to
literally
life.
came back to life. I love him.
And in his quest,
And he's really bad.
he's bad. He's bad. He's what you call badass, you know. And but in his quest, he was saving one white woman and 2 white children.
Yes.
Now, wouldn't it be awesome if we created a movie where a large black buff man from Uganda
Well, we have
went to go
Wakanda.
save well, you know, we have problems with those stories too, but what we need is we need someone who's willing to die in front of the world for their wife and children.
Yes.
And that's what it is that we're missing.
Yes.
The black love story is always
It always has
interrupted.
A bit of but again, I think I would sort of not blame them because we are not involved
We're not
in
producing.
that storytelling.
Exactly.
So it's high time that Africans started producing.
100%.
And we are a rich continent that is rich in history, rich in stories.
Yeah.
I have not watched a movie produced by a black person about slavery.
Yeah.
I've not watched a movie produced by a black person about inventions. I
Yes.
mean, after Thomas Edison, the next person that had the most patents for inventions around electricity is a black woman.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
nobody has done her movie. Nobody has shown her story. So what we need to do, I think, is tell our story. So coming back to you and you talked about how you met somebody.
But I'm sorry, I just want to quickly put in that also the reason why we can't produce the stories is because we don't have control over the distribution. So it starts with distribution networks.
Yes.
It starts with owning satellites, being able to utilize our technologies and
We just have to be intentional because you see, one of the things I keep telling my fellow women is that there's no woman who's going to get ahead without some man supporting her.
Yeah.
We need to also speak to the people with the power.
Yeah.
Much as we don't own the technology, the
Yes.
people that sympathize with us, that have the technology.
We do. We own the resources.
Yes.
Yeah.
And sometimes I think that we also under-negotiate.
Yes. Yeah.
Because if you are coming to film Wakanda here, Uganda should have some say in this.
Most
should have
definitely.
some income. I don't know whether we got any income.
It should be not only Uganda, but it should be if Hollywood owned. Now I don't know how real that could be, but if Hollywood still owns the production, it is likely that you may not even know about it unless you're at a very high level.
Exactly.
You see what I mean? So to do it on the community level is very important.
It's very important. The way they're doing extractions of minerals and things like that, and they're involving communities, I think we need to involve our people. But I also want to say something, again, because I believe that, I think that if we have fantastic stories and fantastic people like you, I mean, you've been in Hollywood, finessing people's scripts. So you could come here and finesse our scripts. And then we would have some really good stories.
And we can tell the story of slavery here.
Yes. Because I'm sure there's stories.
This is where the birthplace of civilization was, but they don't want us to start here. They want us to start on a plantation in Alabama.
I think it's because that's where their perspective begins. So moving back to the 2014. So you
Yes.
set up and you're here.
Yes.
And you've started a few companies. What are they doing?
Well, we just started them. So right now I'm focusing on investments,
Yes.
investing in people. Starting a company, especially doing it the right way and having a good base, is important. To invest in people, events, marketing, how I'm connecting with people, knowing who the right potential future business partners will be, and building out a very good base for a vision for what it will all be, so that when we do build out all the entities that they're successful. So we're at the very beginning stages here in Uganda.
Yes.
I've been successful in America when it comes to developing business clients. I have great business clients in America, but I'm still learning Uganda. And I think that it's going to take some time for me to really learn how to develop a brick and mortar business, because we don't just want it to be online. We want to actually build from the ground up in a new emerging market that's totally different from the U.S., totally different from the Western world.
Well, we need to introduce you to Yugi-wood.
Yeah.
I know that we have Nollywood and all these other woods.
Yes.
So now we have Yugi-wood, and it's growing quite a bit. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm on the Fat Talks. I'm hosting Mr. Michael Chintu, and he is a filmmaker, producer. He is a scriptwriter, and he's coming straight out of Hollywood into Kampala, and we are talking about the impact of film on society. On Smart 24 TV as usual, and we're saying let's talk about fat leaders.
Yeah.
So we're going on a 5-minute break, and then we'll come back.
Sure. Thank you.
Smart 24, driving business.
Luxury redefined at Seasand Hotel as you indulge in the splendor of elegant living fit for the royalty that you are. Step into comfort, pampering and blissful customer-centric service as you select from our range of comfy, exquisite living quarters furnished to meet with your royal preference. Surrounded by scenic beauty, our tropical setting allows you to escape the glamorous ordeal of city life. Our ambient green gardens will guide you to a place of revitalizing rest. The 3-star restaurant caters to your palate, serving your choice menu ranging from exotic cuisines to local delicacies. Our chefs will serve you full course meals for a truly out-of-this-world culinary experience. Our fully stocked bar to whet your throat, from renowned global brand whisks, brandies, gins, beers and wines to our locally celebrated beverages, you will not lack for any brewage. It's an all-new experience in the East at Seasand Hotel. So visit today at plot 15 to 19 Spire Road, Ginger, or contact us on +256 751 719 960 and +256 785 354 614 for reservations. Seasand Hotels, luxury redefined.
Hello, with everybody for you. I did your shake bello. What is up on bello? Bello.
These days, our homes are no longer just the places we live. It's where we attend meetings, go to class, keep each other safe, and entertain ourselves. To do this smoothly, you need a reliable internet connection. Buy the MTN WakaNet router, which connects up to 32 devices and gets a free 40 GB data bundle at only 149,000 shillings. Or buy the MTN WakaNet MiFi at only 75,000 shillings and enjoy a free 15 GB bundle to stream, study, work, and play on the go. Visit any MTN service center to buy the MTN WakaNet router or MiFi and enjoy the internet that does amazing things.
Smart 24, driving business.
Thank you very much. We're back. Thank you for your patience. We are back here at the Fidelis Leadership Institute with the Fat Talks, hosting Mr. Kintu, Mr. Mwanguzi, many names.
Yeah.
And all the way from Hollywood. He's here in Uganda and he's doing fantastic things. And we are discussing the impact. How do we use motion pictures to impact society? And just before the break, our guest was talking about the importance of film, how it influenced his life, how he started his own company that's making a difference in the film industry in Hollywood. And now he's here to make his mark here because we believe that, you know, the piper has control over the song. So we want to be the pipers this time in order to tell the African story. So when we talk about making it, especially for a young person, you've already described the tenaciousness with which you pursued Denzel Washington, the grit that it took for you to decide that you do not want to be employed anymore, and also the humility it takes to ask for help. I think these are three very important things that Gen Z needs to hear. The humility to ask for help, but also the wisdom to address the issue of support, to enlist the support of your first support system, which is the family. I think that's very, very important. And I think sometimes the Gen Z generation misses that. Why? Because they believe that sometimes family are just dream killers. They don't even bother to reach out to them. And yet, I always tell people that, you know, I have so many Gen Zs going around asking for mentors, and yet your parents are your first mentors. Free mentorship and all this. So coming back to you. And your journey and what you've seen all over the world on the different continents that you've worked on. What role do you think ethics plays in this whole sphere? And we ask this because for us at the Fidelis Institute, it's very important to us.
Business ethics are extremely important. And I speak even, I want to speak to all young people, but when I speak about this, I want to specifically hone into Black because, you know, it's very important. African, Black, any person of African descent in that diaspora all over the world. At some point we get to the point where we need money, and we're faced with a decision to make. Do I go down this path, or do I go down this path? One of those paths could lead into negativity. Could lead into making decisions that could potentially kill your spirit because of the lack of funds that run through our communities.
The poverty.
The poverty.
Yeah.
And even in certain
They use
communities.
it as an excuse for everything.
Yeah, and or even
Although it is a serious problem.
It's true. And even if you have money and you just need that extra business deal and you're just not getting the yes that you want and you're broke for 2 months, you know, what do?
Yeah.
Pray.
Wow.
Because even though prayer is, some people believe in it, some people don't, especially when you said Gen Z, they're a whole different group of new believers. But whatever you believe in, ask it for extra, higher self, higher being, higher God, higher whatever you want to call it, whatever you think is higher than you. Pray and ask for guidance, ask for wisdom, because those types of things can lead, especially when it comes to business.
A quick fix kind of things.
Yeah, business ethics. And I know I haven't even, but I've been in situations myself. Do I steal this money?
Yeah.
Do I don't? Do I not? I mean, if we want to really get into it, there are people who will, and I don't want to be so vulgar, but there are people who will say, you know, man, maybe you're a Gen Zer and you believe that goodness gracious, I can't even want to go, but selling drugs, selling.
Because that's easy, right?
Easy.
So easy.
Easy to sell.
I mean, right now you'd have a huge empire
Yeah,
spanning the continent.
Sell drugs.
Yeah.
Sell women. And
use it to justify your dream.
Use it to justify your dream and say, I had to do this.
Or use that dream to justify it.
Yeah, get people drunk, steal money, use people. I've seen it. And it happens every day. Those people are affected mentally. We must take our children and make them learn from a young age that ethics start from home.
Yes.
Your mother and your father. Whenever I had a problem, I always went to my mom or my dad, you know, and pray for wisdom was always the response that I got. Pray for healing. Pray for mercy. Pray for guidance and direction.
So your support system showed you that they had a support system.
Yeah. And it wasn't them that relied on that support. It was what God gives me now, what the Creator gives me is what it is that I have and what I'm supposed to have.
Yeah.
And you cannot be, as a young person, especially if you're trying to scale up your business from 10,000 to 50 or 50 to 100 or 300 to 1 million, you can't decide that, you know, just because you know how to do something of evil intent, that you can just go do it. You have to be able to control that within
that urge.
Yeah, that urge to
take the shortcut.
Yeah, to take the shortcut. And in lots of those times, when young people do take that shortcut, they are the unfortunate ones that plague us in the future. You know, because they are the ones that rose up during that time and become the ones that have to keep that wealth that they attained in unjust ways. At a certain level, and then they end up putting pressure on young people who want to come in and have a chance at building a business at the same time. So let me break that down and just a little bit more clear. We have a lot of millionaires in the world that are becoming millionaires overnight. Doing what? You know, how does a 17-year-old or 18, 19-year-old, 22-year-old have a Mercedes-Benz and $3 million in the bank?
But you see, we are also in a society that has stopped asking those questions.
Right.
I think we have a society that is so weighed down by this poverty that when somebody seems to find a way out, they want to all find a way out with them. They don't care the ethics. So that's why it's very important, even in telling our stories, that we bring people like you that hold these values to show that, yes, you can have a dream. It can be a very big dream.
Yes.
But you do not have to compromise your values in order to reach it.
Not at all.
Otherwise, you would be shy to even get a platform like this one to speak. Yeah. So coming back to the question of dreams and putting reality, what are some of the steps you would advise young people out there in as somebody who's done it in that way, how would you advise them to go about actualizing your dream?
Save your money. Save your money. Save your money. Don't go out, hang out.
Save your money.
Sacrifice going out and hanging out with friends. Sacrifice having to be at a place where all your friends go to every week. And if lifestyle is the most, because in your early 20s, those are the most important days that you can make money and save money. Most people think, oh, she's 22, she's broke, she doesn't have any money, so use that to your advantage. Those are the types of things.
Go around being broke.
Yeah, go around being broke and pretend that you're broke.
Take all the freebies you can get.
That's how you do it. You don't have to go and do anything unethical. You use what people think to your advantage. If people think I'm broke, let them think I'm broke, and I'm saving.
I like that.
And that's how you make that money.
Yes.
And instead of spending it on alcohol, gin, Jameson, whatever, I don't want to say any particular name.
I've seen some of the things our young people drink here.
Yeah, and the money, the amounts of money that they spend, and then also not only the financial cost, but the health costs, because you get to that point where now you're at the hospital paying a hospital bill.
We call it the night economy in Africa.
Yeah.
Everybody goes around all day saying they're broke, and then at night
you have to save.
Yeah.
That is the most important thing, and you have to be an advocate, or you have to be almost like a there's a word, I can't remember the word, but you have to be a very hard saver. You have to be like you
need to be mean to yourself.
Be mean, yeah. And yes, there's days that you're like, oh, I want to go have fun, but I'll have fun later. I have to be able to put this money behind me, put this money with me, keep this money with me, so that by the time you hit a certain age where you can make that investment, you're coming to the table with your own money. You don't have to ask anybody any questions. Nobody has to ask you any questions.
That's some tough advice.
Yeah, it's
I don't think anyone we've hosted here has given advice like that.
Every single young person, between the time that you first start being able to make money, to the time that you just can't do it anymore, and you just want to go out, and that is how you have to start, and I know it's difficult because money it's like, oh, it's just money, let's just spend it. I'm young, I'm living my best life. There's songs about living my best life.
But again, it's the power of influence, because the films have shown us, someone told me, oh, Fiona, money looks bad on blacks, because they're like, oh, when a black man gets money, you're going to see he's wearing 15 gold rings, and he has gold teeth, and he has all sorts of things. He's literally wearing his money on himself.
Yeah.
So we've had these things be shown to us since day one.
Yeah.
And these are the pictures of who we believe wealth looks like.
Yeah.
So what would pictures from Africa look like? The ideal pictures that you think, the motion pictures that you think are going to make the difference, that are going to make people see their fathers as superheroes?
A good first scene would be able to, like something that I've always seen and remembered, and looking back at history, is remembering when our streets here were paved with gold, when money wasn't even a thing, where we didn't have to save because we were the money. We were not working for money. We were working for to build the future. As groups, Black people, historically, to do what it is that we do, we work in large groups.
Yes.
And we haven't practiced that
in a long time. Yeah.
So 15,000, 25,000 Black young men and women building one thing at the same time, like ants. Those are the type of movies that we need to see.
Oh, that's awesome.
We need to see
the pyramids being built.
And them not knowing how we did it, because we work in groups. Not just that, but let's say, for instance, a king. Our streets are paved in gold, but there's a problem on the sun.
Yes.
And we send 10,000 warriors to go handle that problem on the sun, and that's the concept of the movie. And then there's the conflict resolution. There's there's
the values passing down.
Yeah, you have one warrior that needs to rely on the next to be able to handle the problem. The concept is fixing the problem on another planet, and that's our job. We run space, we run air and water, we run wind and energy, we run the things that today the people who run them are currently our animals are being killed in the oceans, and they shouldn't be. So when we think about how the type of movies that we need to see and the type of heroes that we need to see our people running the world the way that we used to run the world, with peace and love, and then also there's no death.
Harmony.
Everything's in harmony.
The circle of life.
Why would a whale die from a ship 17
competing for the same?
You know, why would sharks and dolphins have to suffer, and oil garbage
spills
being spilled in the ocean? Why does that have to happen in this world? That's because we're not running the world. And when we do, we will. When we run the world again, if we can produce that image properly, it will happen in real life. Because again, going back to film being a portal to the future. We can, if we create an image that shows us running the elements of the earth, who knows? It might happen.
That sounds awesome. I want to thank you so much. This has been, Joseph, it's been such a pleasure having you. Our listeners, thank you so much. Those that were on the Twitter space, those that are on Smart 24 TV, on YouTube. We've been discussing the impact of film and how we can use it to transform societies. And I think Joseph has given us his past, his present, and his future. And I'm very glad that much as all this started in Hollywood, it's ending up here. And the man that met Denzel Washington ate with him and is probably doing work with him right now. Is the one that's telling you can achieve your dreams by still being faithful, available, and teachable. It's been Fiona Wall of the Fidelis Leadership Institute hosting the fantastic Joseph Mwanguzi all the way from the US, now in Uganda, on Smart 24 TV. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Have an inspired weekend.
Smart 24, driving business.